Okay, guys, welcome back to the Three Marketeers Show. Today we have a very special guest today. Yes, it's episode 63. And what you watched just now is yet another version of the intro from Manfred. A round of applause for him again. You know, seriously, it's he changed every week. I don't know what he's going to do next week. You know, we just probably you just play along with it, right? So, guys, today, as usual, we're going to have a guest talking about one very interesting topic. So, if you have any startup friends, today we talk about mentoring a startups, and we have invited a very seasoned startup mentors here to share with us his experience and all that. I actually kind of expected this to be a very exciting discussion. So if you have anyone who is starting up, like you have entrepreneurs that you somehow believe that they can actually get some advice from Adrian, tag your friends, bring your friend over and all that, share this to your friends, you know, so that we can actually have a more interesting discussions coming in. And if you have any questions, as usual, pop in the comment section and I will actually pop them up. Like first, we already have our fourth marketer here, which is, you know, Chihuahua, what's up? Okay, like never fail, huh? Okay, good. I give you one, one pint over there. Okay, so right, okay, so we already have quite a number of people already like showing up. So before we roll into the whole thing, just want to let you guys know we do this for for 63 weeks already, and we set to do 100 weeks. So if you like this episode and you like what we're doing, remember to invite your friends on. You yourself must join us on the every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Now today is about mentoring a startups, but I want to give the way for Manfred to actually introduce our guest, because today's Adrian is Manfred's guest. So Manfred, how do you met Adrian and
Okay.
what was the story about?
So I met Adrian through one of the courses I took. He was sharing with us on the digital sales and marketing landscape in Singapore. So the conversation somehow talked about carousel, talked about making money, talked about startup. Then cannot stop no. Basically just two of us talking no. Then the whole class waiting no. So I have to stop.
You hijack again, huh?
I think that's very typical of
typical Manfred.
Typical of Manfred, right?
Yeah, typical Manfred. It's like that one. You cannot like.
So I hold the horses, Adrian. I got a show. I got a Facebook, YouTube show. So can I invite you to talk on live so we can talk more? And nobody will stop us from saying, hey, sorry, we still got a lesson to cover. Please stop talking among the two of you. So that's Adrian Ang. So we invited him to covering the mentoring a startup. So Adrian, you take over from
Thank you so much, Manfred. Thanks for bringing Adrian over. So Adrian, just now we were just sharing about a bit of our experience in terms of like startup mentoring, but we would like to hear from you a lot more, like how did all this started? You know, what was the background? You know, and a bit, please.
Sure. Okay. I started my own business about 12 years back. And I was in digital marketing for a while. So my background is about 20 over years in digital marketing.
Awesome.
And so I'm probably the early batch that actually dabble into all these internet startup stuff.
Senior.
No, I mean, we started, when I was younger, I saw that opportunity and I give it a leap of faith with no knowledge of using, in fact, the internet at that point. I have not even sent the first email in my life. And when I don't know if you can imagine that happens. Okay, so then I already joined an internet company and of course, after the 10 years, so in between the 10 years, I always thought of starting my own business, but I never have the courage to do so. So eventually one day, I was fired from my job. And I know that tomorrow I'm going to be fired. In fact, the day before, I was getting someone else to prepare to say, hey, if one day I come and start my own company, will you want to support me? And then we partner up and then we start providing SEO services. So that's how I started about 12 years ago. But I thought that as an entrepreneur, it was actually because I come from sales background as well. So it wasn't too difficult, but I know where to go, know what to do to get my customers or eventually get my first pot of gold, a small pot lah. All right. But I feel that how many people know that, and myself, I also wish that I would have someone to mentor me. And of course, at that time, about 5-6 years ago, this idea of actually mentoring startups start being popular. And I think, so what's mentoring startups, right? So I said, no, it's just to give them some advices, right? So I mean, to me, what interests me was to help startups, right? So if I was younger, if I can look back at my younger self, I would look for a mentor, right? To mentor me in my business. I didn't have that luxury, or I didn't have the knowledge. I could have asked for someone's help. So I probably walk a lot of journey which I may not have need to walk, and I probably have I may not have made those mistakes that I now I realize those are mistakes, right? So you only pass through, right? So I hope I can help someone. In fact, my life now, I'm also looking for a mentor, right? Someone who can mentor me and give me some guidance to the next career in my life, or the next journey in my life as well, right? Someone who has done more things than me, not necessarily older than me, but someone who have actually walked the path more than I do. Yeah. So that's actually
Awesome.
That's how I started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I really love the angle that you have, where, because to be frank, because we also have a bit of I also have a bit of involvement in startup coaching back then when I was still in Penang, and recent year I actually kind of like involved in a bit of a business coaching for some entrepreneurs as well. What I realized is this is the problem about a lot of, especially entrepreneurs out there, because entrepreneurs are usually a bit of we believe we have something. So there is a bit of ego in us, right? So, but the problem here is this, here's the thing. When, other than whatever we are doing, like let's say, for example, if you want to learn guitar, for example, you realize that if you want to learn guitar, you probably look for someone who is good at guitar and get them to teach you. But when it comes to business, whenever we hit into problem, right, we'll be like, let's try to figure out ourselves. But a lot of people never thought of going out seek for help. So that's the very interesting part. That's why I like the concept that you have over here. I love the whole idea over here. Okay, so but I really want to kickstart. But before we go into the all these things, we have a few of comments coming in, right? Like we have Richard dropping by saying hi, and we have Marcida.
Hi.
Hey, Marcida. Marcida should be your friend, right? And then you're saying friend? Like, yeah, I don't know, Marcida.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, okay. And Marcida saying like ego, right? Okay. Anyone, thanks for popping by. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Okay, so before I go into this, right, I think we were just talking about, a bit of ego among the entrepreneurs. But I want to actually hear it from a startup mentor perspective, other than the ego part of things, right? Why is mentoring important for startups, especially on the startup context? Based on your experience, Adrian, on mentoring startups, why do you think mentoring is important, especially for startups?
Okay, I think it starts with maybe a simple. I think you all probably have heard of this comment. You don't know what you don't know.
Yep. Hey, that's mine.
Right. Not only yours, I mean the whole world. There's so many people who say this. Right? I don't know who first coined that sentence, right? But right, definitely, I don't think it's Manfred, right? Okay.
Good one.
Right.
But he uses that a lot. Like he uses that a lot. You have to give Manfred that credit.
That's his mantra, right?
The mindset is good.
Yeah, I mean it's your personal mantra, right? Actually, I think it need both angle. The startup need to be willing to be mentored, right? They need to know that they don't know everything. They know they need help. They know they may have blind spots. They're willing to listen, and they're willing to hear what you have. Someone to give them 2 cents worth, right? On the flip side, why I think startup, I wouldn't say they need mentoring. Okay, I would say mentoring. Okay, there's also a personal experience of myself. I mean, while running my agency business that I was doing for the last 12 years, I was mentoring one startup, and eventually I joined them as co-founder. Where I mean, I dabble a bit with the young guys. They're very younger than me, right? Like easily 10 years younger than me, And when I go into that startup, and I also start asking for other mentorship, right? Come to a point where there's also a mindset that you're over mentored.
That's very interesting.
You can get so it's the same old story of too many cooks spoil the soup. Is that right? Is that
Right.
interesting, right?
Good point.
Too many
Good point.
ideas, too
Makes
many
sense.
directions. So this mentor will tell you to go this direction. That mentor tell you go that direction. Why don't you try this one?
Wow.
And then that's where we get too confused, right? But I think I think it depends on your chemistry between you and the mentor that you have met, whether you think it works. And of course, if you're open as a startup, you're open to the idea to be mentored. I think that's number one. Number two, if from a mentor perspective, speaking for myself as a mentor, that I've done, I think is to support them to see where they want to go and whether they are on track to that, and whether am I helping them towards that goal. I think that's what my role to make their journey worth it. And actually, it's the same mantra that I mentioned earlier on. To hope that they walk a journey that is not necessarily a school of hard knocks, right? So it simplify their journey, or can tell them 5 steps in advance, tell them why you shouldn't do this, what's the consequence if you want to do it. Fine, but this is your consequence. This may be a possible consequence, right? But of course, now you hear what I've told you, and you can think of other ways to solve it. Fantastic, right? So I hope that's where we are supporting them in that sense.
Nice. I mean, let's pop a bit of the questions coming in. Like Mazida was saying, mentoring is important for startups that are fast to grow due to someone's guidance mistake. I mean, that's already like what like Adrian was sharing with us. But I just want to angle the context a little bit around this, right? You're saying that what you aim to achieve as a mentor is you hope that you can provide so-called the potential so-called downsides of their decisions and all that, potential mistakes that they might make. But when it comes to digital sphere, as of now, as we are talking, a lot of things are very instant, and a lot of things are totally new to even we people who have made mistakes, like terrible mistakes back then. Whatever we learned back then may not be applicable for whatever that is happening right now. So what would be your angle looking at that?
Not necessarily. Okay. So actually, a lot of time the basis of so I think let's be also have a bit of context around what's the startup first,
Sure.
right? So of course, actually, I do have friends who say, hey, I want to start a shop on Shopee.
Oh, okay.
Okay, right. To me, fine. But I wouldn't classify them as startup per se.
Okay.
Right. I would say you're doing a business. Right.
Yep.
I mean, you're to be exact, we are in the trading business. I mean, unless you create your own product, unless you invent your own product or you white label your own product. If not, otherwise you are actually in the old school business. We call it trading, right? You buy low, sell high. You buy from China, you buy from wherever, and then you sell higher. Right.
Yep.
So so that will have a different business angle, right? How do you stand out? How do you make sure that people buy your product rather than another Shopee store, right? If you sell power bank, there's 20 others that sell power bank, right? So I mean, your power bank may have special function, but whatever, right? But that's a different story. I won't group it under this startup journey. Right. So startup, I think let's quantify it to be a bit more. You're trying to solve a problem. You are here to solve if you're trying to start a business to solve a problem, or you're starting a social enterprise to solve a problem, right? And that's where the fundamentals will be still the same, right? You can say that you use blockchain, you use NFT, but all of them, they are using all this technology to solve a basic problem or a business problem, right? For example, they say the supply chain have been functioning this way for the 50 years or 100 years in this way, and this is a persistent problem that nobody bothered to solve or nobody know how to solve. Now I'm going to introduce blockchain to solve it. Right.
Okay.
So of course, to be honest, I mean, I do not know blockchain enough, right? But the mentoring part starts from actually understanding the market. Okay, so actually it goes back to that's why one of the main stages of actually mentoring is actually validating the business.
Right.
Whether the business is worth pursuing in the first place, right? I always ask my team, do you know, okay, one basic fundamental is how many people is willing to pay for the problem that you perceive.
Okay.
If nobody is going to and they shouldn't be your relative.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
They
Very
shouldn't
true.
be your friends or relative because they will definitely support you. They will say that yes, I'll put even.
I thought friends would not support, relatives will run away. I don't know. Just
Depends,
saying.
right? I mean, it depends on how practical your solution is, lah.
True,
I mean,
true.
right? But of course, the first low hanging fruit is your circle of friends, right? Your relative, right? Yes.
Very
So
true.
assuming they support you, right? All right. So if
Doesn't mean you have a
people who
market,
don't know
right?
you, sorry.
I mean, your relatives support you doesn't mean you have a market.
Exactly, right? So you need to know that your problem is someone is going to willing to pay money for that solution you have, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
and how many of them are there? And that's what we call validation and the market size, right? Or in startup terms, they call it addressable market size.
Right.
Okay,
I see where you're coming from. You see, what I think what you're actually saying is it answered my question just now, which is regardless how the market changed, how the behavior shifted, and all that, right? The fundamental of validating a business, like what you mentioned just now, there is a framework to do that, and it remains the same whether in which industry you're in and all that. It's all about going to the basics, getting the fundamentals right. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So
correct.
validating the idea is one of them, okay?
Yes.
And sales and marketing is definitely one of the problem. And then, of course, when you move on, you will talk about the management problems and other things that may actually stop you from growing the business. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, sure. Of course, those are going to the further stages of your startup journey, right? So, I think my context is more of like early stage startup, right? When you're just starting, you are just forming up your team, you're getting your CTO, and you say that okay, this problem is worth solving, and I'm trying to raise my first round of angel fund, or right. So that's one stage. But of course, you can go into growth stage, you can go into more mature stage and Series A, Series B, Series C, right? I would say more of my personal experience a little bit more on the early stage startup. So that's why we are still in that ground zero, right? Making sure that the business is validated first, right? Is there a space for that business to exist, right? If you are not even validating that, my worry is sometimes I mentored the very young ones, those from the polytechnic or universities, right? Also mentored some mature friends, right? Who say that, hey, I think I want to start this business to solve this problem. All right. So actually, it's the same thing. I asked them, do you know how much people are, how big is the market? Right? You can try, but the thing is, you should go and find out how big is the market, how much people can pay for that problem that you're solving, right? Do some background work, because if not, you start spending your hours trying to create that, you're trying to build on that. And I mean, I last thing I want my friends and whoever know is to know at the end the market they can serve after 1 year of trying, they do not make much money, they have to close out. Yes, that may happen. That's failure. I mean, startup failure is very common, right? But I of course I hope that the chance of them failing is lower, right? So that's where I'm coming from. Yeah.
Awesome. I wish I could have met you like long time ago, like because back then when I burned that few 100,000 in a year, that's kind of the thing exactly. I spent time and built a team to build something that become irrelevant 1 year later. That's kind of like, wow, the craziest problem ever. So yeah, we can talk about that at the backstage, but if you guys want to, find out what kind of mistakes Jason did, you can actually Google Jason Gunn back then when I was in 2013. So that's my story back then. But I think Johnny was saying something. Johnny was saying, good idea, but eventually does it all comes down to the dollar and cents? I believe you're saying the validation, which agree. Like Mazida also agreed to that, right? Dollar and cents. I think all business is like that. Just like what Adrian was sharing with us just now, if you have a product or if you have a idea that doesn't really have a market for it, that people are not willing to pay for it, then you probably have to do some adjustment here and there to make it work. Okay, but of course,
they will have to pivot now.
Definitely. But of course, there will be some scenario where it's the market that changes and shit happens, like what happened to mine anyway. And Chiwai was saying, the sad thing about his journey was that he didn't know there is a thing called mentor coaching, besides asking friend how to do this and that in regards of business. So the mistakes after mistakes across. But I think somehow, Chiwai, that makes you a mentor material. right? So yeah.
I think he's right, right? 10 years ago, right, it's not such a popular trend to ask for mentoring. It's a bit shy when you ask people, right? So I think that's where I started, right? 12 years ago, nobody, in fact, a competitor of mine was giving me some tips, but he was very kind to give me some business tips, right? Some 孙子兵法 strategy to think of, but that was useful, and I think until now it's still useful, that his tip that he gave. Yeah.
But I guess what makes a mentor, if you agree with me, Adrian, because like back then when I was doing a bit of mentoring, especially the tech startups when I was in Penang, I think what people value my advice. I mean, from my advice is really from my failures perspective, as in like I would tell them that, look, I did this and it screwed me up big time. You probably want to reconsider doing this because of all the mistakes that I made. That's why I always tell people that these are all the badges of glory. These are all the
better score.
Yeah. So that makes our so-called suggestion a little bit more valuable compared to those who have never done it before, right? So I think Chiwa, you probably should, let's work together, do a bit of startup mentoring, maybe involve Adrian as well. I think that's a cool thing to do, right? Right? If you like to do these, then anyone wants to join us, maybe who knows? We can do something very interesting, right? So yeah. I think that's very cool. And Mazida was saying, better find one. I will agree, right? You guys want to contact Adrian. Adrian, how do we find you, by the way? We've been talking for 20 minutes.
Sure. I can leave my link. Should I post my link?
Use the private chat. Yeah, you use the private chat, pop in.
Okay.
I will bring it up over here and share with everyone else as well.
Okay. You can connect with me on my private. So I post in private chat, right?
You post in private chat and I'll bring it over here. So guys, if you guys want to connect with Adrian, I'm actually popping this in right now. And
this is LinkedIn account, LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I just pop in. Yeah, I just pop it into the comment. Okay.
So as Adrian was sharing just now, he said that the startup validation is determine whether people are prepared to pay for the problem that you are attempting to address. Yeah. So Jason just shared.
In industry, we say what's the pain point that you're solving, right? So if there's actually it all comes back to the same. I think the basis when I do my digital marketing, when I work with our clients, we always ask them what's your pain point. I mean, you're not having enough conversions, you're not having enough traffic or whatever, right? So when the pain point, then we know what's the best solution to prescribe in that sense. So from the business perspective, it's the same, right? So they actually sometimes I even go deeper with them if they are, depend on the stage, if they are still just forming up the team. I mean, even ask them, what's your why, right? If you begin, what is your why of wanting to start business? What's the why of start solving this problem, right? I believe you all know the famous Simon Sinek, right? Starting with the why.
Yep.
Right. So if sometimes the why is not strong enough, right? The stamina to continue is it will be challenging because sometimes you don't get enough money, you don't get enough, your business, your expenditure become a problem, you can't even survive. I mean, the startup that I was running with that 4 other younger guys. We got a Singapore startup grant, all right. Back then it's called A Startup Grant. We get 50,000 from government.
Okay.
But I think after 1 year I joined them, we run out of steam. We lost stamina, and a few of us, even it's quite a young thing. 2 others are married. Myself is married. Got liabilities. You need to make sure you can justify for the time you spend and also whether there's income coming in. Right, you need to survive. Right? Sometimes my guys have to end up to go out and do Grab so as to survive. Right, so that become a real problem, right? Because if your motivation is not strong, after 1 year our motivation dropped, so our passion died, right? So that's why not strong enough, you'll burn out very fast, right? And when there's no money and the passion, that all the in real life all these things happens, and then so if your why is strong, right? So sometimes I think you may ask, why did the founder of Grab, how was he successful? All right. I've never interviewed him or whatever, but I believe although he start from he have a good family background, right? his parents own, if I'm not wrong, he own the one of the car businesses, right?
Yep.
But if his why is not strong, I doubt that it's so easy for him to also achieve what he want to achieve as well.
But probably, I'm just talking about the Grab scenario, is probably because he had no issue with the financial side of things. Because when he started, probably I'm just saying, probably because when he started, he probably got some very good so-called investment coming in. So, and then eventually, for whatever he does, it's a lot easier for them to look for investment. But we don't know. Nonetheless,
I think one of the main thing is
Yeah.
his family is doing business all along. So if your parents
maybe the background also plays a
if
very
your
important
parents
role.
is salary man, you want to be entrepreneur, the starting will be a bit challenging lah. Okay, because salary man.
I think that's a very interesting angle. What do you think, Adrian? Do you think this would affect the success of a startup? Whether you have been in any way educated in terms of business, like what Manfred was saying, if you come from salaried family, you probably will find it a bit difficult to wrap around business mindset.
Study well, get a degree, get a good job, get government job. Don't talk back. Don't think of starting a business. This is grandfather story.
This is how you
actually. I mean, I have not done enough statistics to know, right?
I mean, benefit of doubt, fine.
Yeah, but I feel yes, there can be some relation to that because you to be honest, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, right? I would never have it. I don't think that entrepreneurship is where I am because I never. I mean, nobody in my family runs a business. Nobody, right? My dad probably consider own business because he drive a taxi when I was younger. So. But that's still not. I mean, he still have to pay rent. He in fact have a hire. He have to rent a car, and he have to pay. I have to see him. When times are tight, he will need to negotiate with the hirer, to delay the payment of installments and all this. I mean, that's probably the closest to business, right? But I think, it helps. I do see that those with family background with business. And their children, there's a chance of them becoming a businessman is higher.
Because the upbringing is definitely different, I believe, right?
The exposure is
mindset is different also.
So exposure, yes, I like that. I
agree. The exposure, correct. And the thinking, yes, correct. You're right. And I mean, he or she would have seen how his parents behave, what they do. I mean, they may not be at the office, but I believe. I mean, everybody will bring to a certain level home, some work home, talk about.
They probably see a lot more struggle from the parents. That's why they are prepared for that. They are a little bit more resilient, maybe.
Yeah.
Normally,
I think the environment will determine the mindset also. Helps in the way, and the people that surround yourself with.
Yeah, Manfred, you're saying. So you guys are getting active tonight, right? Okay, go. Manfred.
Salary man normally when after knock off already, you won't think about work one. Entrepreneur 24/7 because really tons of things need to resolve.
Work is life, what?
Yeah, so it's really part of your life already. So you have to resolve a lot of issues. But one thing I want to add just now during this conversation is that what I see from my friends, no one hustle harder than those who saw their parents suffer seriously. This one is very true.
That's a very interesting angle.
No one hustle harder than someone who actually saw their parents suffer. When you saw your parents suffer, you hustle, wow. Pretend like you are Superman, you sleep one. Everything you also know how to do. So I saw that before.
Yep.
So you ask them the story.
I think probably there's some because they will think that I mean, no matter what I do, I'm not suffering as much as what my parents have been through. So they are willing to go further.
I saw that in a lot of entrepreneurs.
There's also the fear or the paranoia of the want to go back to that previous position.
Correct. So actually the motivation, of course, I mean, we there's different motivation, right? I mean, now that right? So sometimes it helps to see, that's why this goes back to the why, right? So some of them, from the moment I ask them what's your why, right? They can tell me their why, and that helps. And I can see that no matter what's the problem, they will get it solved. I mean, I was mentoring one team from Japan. So they were trying to do, because Japan's music scene is actually quite different. right? It's quite close, and the labels and all these are still the main way for artists to grow up to become the J-pop star, right? So it's very hard for you to get yourself out, and like if you do your own Spotify channel or whatever and get yourself famous, or YouTube, and the control is still by the label. So that's the scene that they're saying, right? So they have a solution for it, right? But their solution doesn't have a very good monetization model, right? So over time, the team, when we mentored them, they start to think of how they can pivot and change the monetization model, right? To help to make sure that, because their initial thinking was, we when we get popular, we can sell advertisements.
It's not the easiest, especially advertisement is the hardest part. Your business model is business advertisement.
Yeah,
right.
Correct, exactly. So I mean, 5-6 years ago, that's where when a lot of startups, they say I create a mobile app, and then later on I can sell $50 CPM with Google and all this.
Good
luck.
I
say, all right, okay, let me tell you, I used to work with SPH. This is the amount that I'm selling. Okay, and it's even with SPH, it's still even hard, not that easy, right? So where I don't know, you can get your $50 CPM. Maybe you get how many $50? I don't know. Okay, so anyway, but these guys, so I told him, even I'm doubtful that, I mean, a few years ago I read about Spotify not even breaking even yet, right? And in fact, nowadays in Singapore, Spotify, I'm hearing them playing their house ad. I'm not sure if you all know what's house ad. That means they are telling you to upgrade to a higher, right? I mean,
they still do that.
Probably I'm not sure. My assumption coming from advertising background, when you play your house ad, chances are is that you don't have enough advertisers. That's why you play so much time your house ad, right?
Yep.
Okay. Right. If you got a lot of advertisers on Spotify, then I think I mean, this is my assumption. But I told them that I'm not very sure even Spotify in their size now, they are even breaking even from advertising. So what do you think that you can create something in Japan and break even by advertising? So with that,
they cannot see deeper enough. No, they only can see the surface.
No, it's like that one. I mean, Manfred, when you're in business, you always believe that you have the most brilliant idea, and you think that things will happen for you, man.
Yeah,
I want to say this. Sorry, I interrupt. I always I hear this 1,001 times. I repeat again. I thought this is blue ocean. Then I go there. Nabe, this is desert. Still many times.
That was a mirage.
That was a mirage. No, I thought I can swim inside the blue ocean. No more red ocean for me. Walao, desert. No wonder nobody come here lah.
Yeah.
Every time.
So the reality, that's right. I mean, I think Jason had done before as well, right? You tell them the reality that you have seen this, and of course these guys, they pivot, they change the idea, right, and do something else. Or so maybe we try this, we try that, we try this, we try that, right? So that's why the motivation is important. If they are motivated, when you tell them that you're going to fall down, and they will change, and they will survive, and they will come up and tell you, okay, why not we try that, right? And they'll keep coming back to you and telling you, can we do this? Can we do that? Can we do this? Can we do that? Yeah.
I think that's a very good and so-called story that actually signify the importance of having a mentor by our side. But seriously, I just want to quickly ask this question from startup's perspective. Okay, like we all talk about the importance of mentorship and some stories from your mentees and all that, right? But I think this is a very important question. How do we get mentorship? As in, like, I only know you, Adrian. Like, now, seriously, if I need someone to help me, is there any so-called a community that I can get in, or is there any so-called like official kind of like avenue that I can connect with some potential mentors? Because I also truly believe in another thing. Other than getting a mentor, the synergy or the so-called the chemistry is also very important. I actually work with quite a number of mentors. Some of them I just can't talk to them, to be very frank. That's why, although they are very good, and I'll be like, so thank you so much for your advice, I think maybe it's just not the right fit, So same thing, when I was mentoring also, some of them will say that I no, you're not for me. But how do I connect? I need to find enough people to see whether I can find the right mentor, isn't it? Adrian, what do you think?
Okay, so let me share two
Please,
websites. I just got acquainted with them recently. No, I to be honest, I didn't know they exist in Singapore. But these are organizations in Singapore, and they are semi-government. I think
Mentoring Alliance.
Yep, and there's another one, mentoring AFA.org.
Oh, there is such thing.
Yeah, I'm new to them. Right, they if not wrong, they are somehow linked to National Youth Council in Singapore.
Wow.
Okay.
Right.
So wait, guys, I'm actually putting into the comment. You guys can actually go check it out, right?
So for the Singapore audience, you're in luck. So we have some of the resources here. You can check it out. The Mentoring Alliance SG.com and Mentoring AFA.
Yeah, AFA.org.
Sorry, the link sort of jumped up a little bit. So anyway, you guys know the drill. Just go and copy and paste the whole thing over. And
it doesn't work?
No. It's me. When I paste the whole
Oh.
thing over, I just shared the link so you guys can go in. This is how I shared it on Facebook. This is how I shared on YouTube. YouTube, you see, it doesn't have the space in between. It just jump up the whole thing. I don't think this is clickable.
I think they can get it.
You guys get it, lah. So if you guys are listening to via the podcast, right, or whether you're on iTunes or Spotify, you know the same thing. Go back to the video, or you can. I do my best to leave the link in the description while you're also listening to that. Anyway, so yeah, these are the links. So yeah,
but actually, there's few. Okay, I'm not sure. I understand both of you are in Malaysia, but for Singapore, okay, there are a few other avenues. Actually, a lot of the schools, IHLs, Institute of Higher Learning, so your polytechnics, the universities, in most of them, they will have an entrepreneurship arm, right? Personally, okay, so Mentor Malaysia, you also have your version, right? So I was from Singapore Poly, right? So I started my mentoring journey as one of the mentors there, right? So so they have a environment where they actually so-called we pre-evaluate the startups. They'll present to us first, right? And after that, we see whether they are we try to refine them. We give them feedback, and if eventually we find that they're good enough, we will present them to the that just now I was saying, right, the A startup grant. All right, so now it's called SG Startup Founders. I think this is the name of the grant now, right? So they probably will go to the next stage to pitch to get that grant. All right, so most of the polytechnics and universities or AMPs in Singapore, we call it accredited. I can't remember what does it stand for, but there are quite a number of AMPs out there, right, that can actually allow you for you to pitch to them, and then okay, I think I may be able to find something. Okay, so they can they sort of like the green lane for you to pitch and see if they can validate that your startup is okay, good. They will put you forward to apply for the grant. Yeah, accredited mentor partners. Yeah, right. So that's
so when you apply for grant, means you get a mentor. Is that how it works in all these grant schemes and all that in Singapore?
Oh, not necessary.
Not necessary, right? Because I gotten some grants before. To be frank, I never get really like mentors, and mentors is like another whole different thing, from the grant thing.
Correct. So I mean, in the IHLs, the polytechnic and university, I mentor with SMU early on. So it depends on the how the organization, how the school structure. Do they put in a mentor to support you along the journey, or sometimes their faculty maybe your mentor, right? So I was more of an external mentor then, because 5-6 years ago, digital marketing people, it's pretty interesting. They like to learn what is that and how they can, of course, with my experience, I could guide them. But a lot of time, I didn't really guide them directly on digital marketing. In fact, it's more business first. If the business is validated, then we can talk about marketing. Because a lot of time, as a startup, you don't have much budget to do much marketing, and if you want to do SEO and all this, too long a shot, right? By the time your SEO rank you up, your startup probably collapse already by then, right? So it's more a business strategy that was more useful for them a lot of time.
But how do you? Thank you for sharing a few things, guys. Adrian has given us a few links, and Andrew just shared with us a so-called Mentor Central from Magic. Magic is an organization by the government organization that actually helps the local startup scenes and all that. But I also want to hear from your perspective, Adrian. How do you connect with your mentees? How do you find all these? How do you find all these startups? Do you approach them, or do they come to you?
All right. A lot of time I approach the organization that run all these programs, right? So it's probably a shameless plug. So I would just say, hey, I've been mentoring for a while, or whoever I get to know. Sometimes through connections. My ex-colleagues, they probably are now somewhere. So I tell them, hey, I saw that you're involved in this competition. So sometimes actually based on their LinkedIn, sometimes this opportunity come up. For my first, 5-6 years ago, is I happened to attend an entrepreneurial event, and then after I talked to the organizer, he happened to be the person in charge of the entrepreneurial department in Singapore Poly. And then I said, oh, so do you I've never done mentoring, but I've been doing digital marketing for X amount of years. We need some help. So I just asked them. So, oh yeah, sure. So it's actually connections and talking to people. In the last 2 years, due to COVID, of course, very hard to do physical networking, right? But I got connected with the chairman of NYC. So he's involved in a lot of projects, the National Youth Council, right? So I think these two are some of the projects. So one day I saw him shouting out for mentors on his LinkedIn profile. So I PM him and I say, I've been doing all this. So he wrote me in now in there's 2 existing mentoring program, National Youth Action Challenge and Young Founder Summit. So somehow I'm involved in these 2 now. Yeah. So, but it's pro bono that we are helping them. Yeah.
So it's a pro bono thing, which will lead us to the next question, though. Anyway, so I was just trying to figure out whether do you invest in the startups that you're mentoring, or do you invest in them, or is that anything that you're getting back in?
Okay, good question.
Is it a must? Is it a requirement?
No. Okay. Actually, this is the first question I asked myself. Well, or I asked the organizers, hey, the mentoring, does it mean I put my money where my mouth is, right? I say I better put my money in, right? So actually they say, no, it is a lot of time if you want to, of course you probably have the first few rights, or the founders will probably welcome you, right? And probably give you a professional rate or whatever, the number of shares you get, right? But it's not a must, right, to invest. In fact, as a mentor, you're investing your man hours, right? One concept that I heard of, but it didn't really take off. I didn't see it materialize, right? In the earlier years of mentoring, there's something called sweat equity.
Okay. Is there such thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the early days, yes.
Right, in the early days, right?
Yep.
So you agree on the shares that you get in exchange for your effort in guiding and mentoring the team, right? So actually, if you think of it, it's like the board of advisors, right? So probably now transcend to the more current. Maybe about half a year ago, there was this team that said, "Hey, Adrian, we saw your profile and we very connected to a platform, right? One of these organizations who link us together. They say, hey, I noticed you're strong in marketing, but we our platform they are in a marketplace business. So marketplace very competitive, right?
Marketplace,
yeah, correct. So it's an F&B marketplace, right? So there's so many players out there, but they have a special angle, right? In helping saving food waste, right? So that's their angle. So having said that, so he said that no, we need a marketing advisor. So in exchange, this is the equity. So there was some formal agreement, right? So if I'm keen in that, this is the kind of equity I can get later on if they raise a certain amount of money and kind of stuff, right? So I can be sitting on the board of advisors, and in exchange I get a certain equity of their business. But having said that, of course, that's still also a bet in the future. I mean, we are investing our time in the sense, right? I don't have to come up with money, but eventually, whether they get their funding, that's another question altogether, right? And what's the cash out or payout eventually? That's all a question mark, right? Yeah. So not necessary to invest.
So just because since you say that you not necessarily to invest dollar and cents lah, the money in money form.
Correct.
But of course, definitely you invested your time and energy and all that and your expertise.
Correct.
So I just want to, of course, you don't need to answer this question if you don't want to. But what is the success rate? As in, like, you really get something in return.
Actually, I would say so far. Okay, I would say just is not material returns.
Not yet
so
lah, maybe not yet. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Or I mean, not as in monetary returns. So far,
Right.
I think probably I've some small moment of joy. I mean, I have a certain amount of success rate so far when I mentor teams for competitions. Right, even the very young ones, right? So I even mentored secondary school students in Singapore. They have a youth challenge. So getting secondary school students to be thinking from a business perspective and present themselves. So got a few teams got into the finals or got into the top 3. In fact, overall champion. So I mentored a team from China who actually they do a university exchange program. They came to SMU. And within 1 month, they're supposed to come up with a business plan. And of course, among the other peers, in fact, all of them are from China, but they form different teams, right? So they compete upon themselves. So my first year, my team was first runner up. Second year, they were overall champion. Different teams, right? Yeah. And this year, I have one team who participate in China ASEAN competition. So it's ASEAN different. Startup, not necessarily university students, so they are matured ones, and they are right. So both teams that I mentored, one is startup category, another one is comprehensive category. So both of them got the third place. So they got money. I didn't get anything. So
noble of that.
Yeah. But I always joke with them and say, hey, I tell them my expectation. I say, no, I a lot of time when I mentor people for a competition, they win something. So are you ready with me to you want to win something? And then I said, yeah. So let's look at winning it, right? So I grind them. I put in additional hours to mentor them. I always joke with them, okay, remember 5% when you win the prize, give me 5%. But,
in coffee form can I think that works also lah.
I still have a few lunch and dinner they haven't delivered to me.
At least lah, not bad. Okay, now we have a question from Richard over here. Richard is asking, is building a startup for everyone? Or is it only for people of certain traits or behavior? I think that's a very interesting question. You have an angle for this, Adrian?
I think it goes back to the earlier answer or the earlier point that I'm bringing out is I think it's important is what's their why. What's the motivation? Yeah.
The reason you're doing it.
Sorry?
The reason you're doing the thing.
Yeah, correct. The reason.
The big why behind it.
Correct. So if you have a very clear why, a strong or clear, at least you're very clear with your why, or of course if you have a strong one, it would be even better, right? Because I mean in this situation, I think let's talk about being a successful startup, right? Everybody can start a business.
True.
Everybody can run a startup, right? Or in fact, just now I said, can start a business, right? You go shopping, you consider yourself a startup, yeah, right? You Lazada, right? right. So it's not difficult, and it costs very little to just register a company, right? And print a name card, right? So in fact, you don't need name card nowadays, right? To register a website, right? In fact, I'm telling people you don't need a website if you're a startup. As a startup, right? So end of the day is actually, if you want to be a successful startup, I think that's the question, right? You should have certain burning desire, and your why is very strong. Yeah.
Okay. I truly agree. I truly agree. If you don't have that, right? I think that also applies to anything that you do. Like I was just recently, because I'm forming a program about YouTube. You see, because I started YouTube like a while ago, and now my YouTube only have about 4,000 people, but I have made 6 figures through my YouTube channel, not through ads. You see, that's why I always like to tell people that if you want to come into YouTube and your aim is to make money through ads, you won't have the stamina to go through whatever that I went through. So that's why I think that also applies to life. If your why is always money, that probably can be a very kind of, because it's a very easily broken kind of desire, you see. If your why is money, then if you see some bigger money over there, then you will start running over to do something else.
Sometimes the hardship is so big that you cannot take it. Then the money you just throw aside. Can I just add one more thing for
Please do,
conversation?
Manfred.
Yeah.
Please do.
So I tend to see things in a different light. So you say about why. I tell you, I met a lot of people who are not meant to be entrepreneurs. A lot of people. You know why? Very simple. They always give up what they need most for what they need now.
Wow, so philosophical. Elaborate a little bit, please.
They really give up what they need most for what they need now. Say example, they need sleep now. They wanted to sleep. They wanted convenient. They want to go back home and have dinner with their family members. But what they really need is actually endure, get this thing done, make sure you clinch this deal, make sure you understand this thing, make sure you implement this thing, because in the long run, this will be very useful. I saw a lot of people not doing the right thing. You're supposed to study, you're supposed to work, you're supposed to achieve this thing. No, but you just want it now. You'd rather take the money, go and buy your Nike shoe or whatever. So these are not meant to be entrepreneurs, seriously.
Wow.
And if this kind of people want to be entrepreneur, please don't do it. I tell you.
That's Manfred.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the sharing.
Thank you so much. Wisdom again.
Wow, luckily today you wear purple, I think that's the reason of purple, Okay, now, what Chiwa was saying, if you think starting a business is going to give you more freedom, that's the wrong mindset already.
Absolutely.
I think, okay, that's kind of a thing. But if your aim is freedom, business could be a tool. I'm just thinking, So it depends on what you want. It depends on what you want.
So of course, if your vision is to have your end goal is because of you want freedom of time and money, right? Then of course you if you're very clear and you stick fast in that, then you will keep finding answers to build that. And of course, I think a lot of you would have heard of it. Don't build the business system so that you can free yourself out. And then, of course, right? So that's why I feel that I hope I have a mentor for me, right? If not, I wouldn't be still stuck in my business right now. I'm still working in my business myself. I should be working on my business. I should have worked on my business earlier, maybe then, right? So now trying to pivot myself is also a challenge, right? So I'm not sure anybody still want to connect with me because I'm a mentor that can't even get myself out.
But I think that's the thing, I mean, just for discussion's sake, I mean, after being involved in running different businesses for a while and even coaching businesses, I believe pivot is a constant thing. It's not possible that you pivot to a point that you achieve some success that you can actually just enjoy whatever that follows for a longest time possible. But I truly believe pivot is the constant thing. If a business itself or an entrepreneur doesn't have a mindset to constant embrace change and look for change, I think that's a very difficult thing for a person to do. I mean, I just want to quickly look at the question that Chiwa was bringing up. You see, starting a business will not give you freedom, but I just want to elaborate a little bit, if I may. If your aim is freedom, like what Adrian was saying, business can be a tool, but you need to have a different mindset, in running your business. You see, a lot of entrepreneurs, when we start a business, we get married to the business. We really hustle, like what Manfred was saying. You give up everything, you just throw yourself into the business. But then again, you need to have an end goal in mind. What is the end game? When do you want to get out of it? How do you want to get out of it? I think that's an important question. If you want freedom, I think you need to ask around that.
Right? What's the value of freedom to them?
If it makes sense, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I think my personal, speaking for myself, right? Now that I have a family, I have a son. My son is 5 years old, right? So he's still very young, right? Still a lot of time. I would say that he need a lot of time from me, right? And I would love to spend a lot of time with him, right? And that's where the value of my freedom is. So whether or any money I make, what's the value of my money? Okay, I can see it because I can enjoy a lot of moments with him in the future when COVID over. I can travel with my family and things like this, right? So what's this what's the value of the freedom and time that you exchange it for, or you're hoping to get it for. So that is a lot of time the motivation, right? So actually, I wouldn't say that chasing after money may not be the right thing, but like what Jason pointed out, is a tool, right? But with the money, you can enable yourself to have more time, so that you can travel, you can do a lot of things. And what's the end goal you want, right? So the money, you need some money to enable that, in that sense, right? So if not, how do you travel the world, right? Or how do you have time to spend, I mean, with your child, when you have to worry about tomorrow, can you feed your own, pay your mortgage and whatnot, right? So money is still important. Yeah,
I truly agree. In fact, I believe money is one of the most important things, the essential thing. It's not about important or it's essential. It's needed anyway. But then again, how much money needed is also another question to ask. You see, sometimes when we are in business, we tend to chase after money. We always believe we need more money, but we only need enough money. I think that's something that, okay, I'll just not try to be a little bit like over there. But like what Shua was saying, right? 10 years, you're still in the business rather than on the business. I think that's a very good point to ponder, isn't it? That's why I mean, it's really something that I've been working on for the past 2 years. Okay, I let go a lot of things because I want to gain back something. Okay, but I want to find a balance where I can still gain back something and still make the kind of money that I make. So I believe it's a conscious decision, if I may. You have to know what you don't like to do to embrace what you can do in a way. I don't know. I don't like to do a lot of things.
Someone has been chasing around
today,
too much with me already, you know. A lot of balls already, too much in today.
All these
Too much in.
No, all this comes of age, I can tell. I to be honest.
Must be that. Must be that.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right. That's where we know what we want, what we don't want. In fact,
You must know the negative keyword, then you know what to buy keywords.
Yeah, but the problem is. Sorry, you guys saying. Sorry, Adrian.
Actually, a lot of time, a lot of people don't know what they want, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you ask them what they don't want, they will give you the whole list of things they don't want.
But tell me this, the things that you don't want, how many of you dare to give away all this? How many dare to throw away all these things that you don't want in your life? Because if you are not able to throw away all these things that you don't want, how can you actually get what you want?
Yep.
I think we're digressing.
We are definitely digressing, but anyway, we are just 3 minutes down anyway to 11. I think it's fine. Okay, like Chia is saying, you need to learn to let go. Yeah, I let go a lot of things. I think probably it's because of that, right? But one last question I want to quickly go over here because it's really something that Richard was asking. But I think we have already discussed about this, the difference between startup and business owner. Like what Adrian was saying, a business owner is probably you start business because you want to get money. A startup is you have a strong why. Is that something that you would agree to? A startup entrepreneur will be somebody who has a big why, the reason.
You have a big why, and you are also very clear what problem you're trying to solve, right? There should be a pinpoint that you can see that you can make. You have a better solution to the current one, or there's no solution for this. You're coming in to solve that, and ideally you have a strong why. Right, then you can sustain the journey, the tough journey. But business owner, a lot of time, as I mentioned, you can just start up a blog shop. You just buy low, sell high, and you buy from another country that's cheaper, and then you sell. That's a business owner. I mean, when I do my SEO, same thing. I have my team that give me my cost is so low, but I mark up and I sell higher to the clients who pay me for my SEO work. So that's a business owner.
Differentiate yourself, or else it's very difficult. You differentiate, that's another problem, really, lah.
Yeah, that's another story.
The business owner, I need to differentiate my business from another person's business. So it's a bit different. I mean, that's my definition of startup and business owner.
Thank you. That's all we need. Thank you so much for answering this. Like that also brings us to 10:59 p.m. right now. So before we go, like I want to let Manfred do his job.
Yes,
let's do that.
My job.
Wow. Website of the week.
Okay.
No. You stay, Adrian. Now we're just gonna like a bit of an introduction because every week we have this website of the week, and the person in charge is Manfred. He's gonna introduce one website or one tool that he believes is cool. Okay.
Maybe later I'll just end with one.
You have another one also?
No. I don't have a website, but I just want to offer something to
Yes, that would be good.
Perfect. We will go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait for
time
that.
is quite fast. This is the wordtracker.com. I was wandering around there. I found this thing. So same thing like they claim it will be better than Google AdWords. So you see Google Keyword Planner. You see they say the action on group keywords, search comparison. So okay, maybe for today, for fun, let's try mentoring a startup. What will happen?
Startup mentor lah. Why not?
Yeah, let's go with.
Try first.
Yeah, let's go first.
Yeah.
Try first. See what will happen.
I think no search.
No keyword.
Very low.
Startup
Okay,
mentor.
start mentor. Try this one.
Maybe you can start up funding all this. You probably will have more.
Yeah. Funding. It's US.
I'm sure they have a lot.
But this is targeting. This is only tracking the US market or what? Or no?
You can change
choose the
that.
market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just for fun. You see?
Word tracker. Okay.
Yeah.
Word
So can play with it. It's also one of the interesting tools.
Interesting.
But this one
Claim
more
to be
for
better than Google.
I think this one more for SEO, right? Not for paid search, right? Yeah, you got Amazon and YouTube also. So okay, the URL, I think Jason has put it up already, so you can play with it. So that's N for Mike.
Thank
All right,
you, man.
Adrian, you're on.
Right?
Okay.
So Adrian,
I thought just want to throw out an offer. All right. I mean, if anyone who are listening, I mean, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Well, I can offer like a 15 minutes chat with you. I mean, if you need some help.
That's cool.
I mean, I believe in this book that I'm reading. It's called Diamond Cutter. So the principle behind that is actually giving what you want in life. I have some aspiration in what I want currently. So I want to start that by helping someone else. Also, your business to be successful, or you're trying to start up a business. So if you need some help, you can let me know. I can spare some time to support you. Maybe I would just have a small request that before you speak to me, I like you to do a small donation to a charity of your choice.
Fair exchange.
Pay forward after you do after you enjoy the 15 minutes from me, do a charity donation to a charity, any amount you like to at the choice that you want. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Right.
I think,
So guys, hit.
yeah.
I mean, connect with Adrian. Let me bring that link up again. Oh wait, not this one. With this thing. Okay, so connect with Adrian on LinkedIn. I've already pop up on the screen right now, but it's already in the chat. So linkedin.com/in/AdrianAng31, or you can just go LinkedIn and search for
Adrian
Ang.
Adrian Ang.
Then you will get him. All right, guys. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the show. I am really have to thank
Awesome.
Adrian for joining us tonight. We learned so much from you, because really it's a very interesting perspective where like a lot of people would actually agree. Like Chiwa was saying the same thing. How nice if we would have a mentor back then when we started everything back then. Right? So that's a very, very, very nice sharing from you. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, this is what we do.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And the 3 Marketeers show goes on every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. And this is where we go live on my Facebook page and my YouTube channel. If you like this, remember to hit like and subscribe, and remember to invite your friends to join. Next week, what do we have, Manfred?
We have the 5 digital marketing trends for 2022. Any questions?
About time.
Any questions? Please drop a message at my LinkedIn, Manfred Shi. Okay, just look. There's one and only one Manfred Shi. Come and message me. Tell me your questions. We will grill our guests.
Perfect.
Okay.
So 5 digital marketing trends
for 2022. Of course, we will ask for 2021 also.
Yeah, let's grill for 10. He prepared 5.
Episode 64,
Yeah, episode 64. See you next Wednesday night at 10 p.m. And thank you so much, Adrian, for joining us tonight.
Adrian, thank
See you
you.
guys next week. Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.